what we're doing here is we are able to pick up many small data points of activity along the way. We're able to pick up each little comment on a peer review, each annotation, each comment that was put in a discussion, and so on. In this particular hypothetical example, the student is partway through a piece of work. There have been 832 data points along the way, hypothetically, in this example. And we have here a visualization tool called an Aster plot. And down on the right-hand side, we have the teacher's expectations, which is what we expect in a unit of work, what the teacher expects in a unit of work the student will do. Now, a unit of work might be something that lasts a week or two. It might be a whole term. It might be a whole semester. It's an arbitrary concept. Whatever's being assessed is there. And what we have in the middle is this concept called theta. So we're being a little bit cheeky. Theta in testing theory means understanding. So, and our definition of full understanding is theta equals 100. So if you do all the stuff to teacher expectations down the right, you will reach 100. And if you do more than that, you'll get to 101, but no further. There's no, overachievement is not going to be rewarded. And if we go around the Aster plot there, firstly, the size of each of the sectors is based on the weighting that the teachers put on each of those particular colours, things that they consider to be more or less significant. And then as the colour moves out towards the edge of the circle, it tells you how much you've done to reach that point. So let's say in a survey, which is an item-based test, the teacher wants you to get 80% of the questions right, and you don't have them all right. Well, you can keep taking them until the colour goes out to the edge. Let's say in a peer-reviewed assignment, your initial scores are only something or other. You can do more work and you can revise, and it pushes them out, and so on. And what we've done is we've divided the sector, the pie, if you like, into three major sectors. One sector we've called focus, which is basically measures of how much work you've done, how much time, how much writing you've done. Knowledge, which is measures of what it appears you know from surveys and from peer reviews and the like. And help is the collaborations that you've become involved in supporting other people in this collaborative knowledge environment, this social learning environment. So we can actually break it up by all of those things. Now, this particular student's only got to 69. So the difference between this environment and Bloom's is we can have these in the background, these ways of measuring what learners are doing and giving them immediate feedback. This is how much more you need to do to reach the standard, to reach the point of what we expect. I'm going to do a funny thing now, which might seem kind of a funny Back to the Future kind of thing to do. That what we had in 2001 in the United States was the invention of the institution of a law called No Child Left Behind, right? And in fact, it was the epitome of standards-based education. And yes, it was done in the George Bush regime, but it was also done by Edward Kennedy, who's had a great interest in education. The two of them really, the Kennedy was the lead Democrat when there was a majority of Democrats in the Congress, and they worked together to build this thing. And it's a very interesting idea, which is the idea that every student, that no child should be left behind necessarily. It's the opposite of the old idea of enforced inequality. Now, of course, then what happened was standardised tests and enforced inequality, and it was a whole lot of things happened which were contrary to that idea. And then when in the Obama regime it got renamed, the law was renamed the Every Student Succeeds Act. Now, this idea is both of those things, no child left behind, every student succeeds. And it's just a matter of giving them enough feedback to say, look, if you want to go further and get to the standard, which is theta equals 100, you can do it. You just got to keep working at it. And if you're getting feedback on every little thing you need to do to reach that point in terms of the knowledge you've got and your capacity to learn. And by the way, this is again this idea of ergative pedagogy. It's not what's in your head, it's what you can do, what you can produce, what you can make in a social environment where in fact there's a lot of social feedback going on. So it's this ergative idea and this social idea which is behind it. So what we're trying to do is build this. Now, Benjamin Bloom could never have done this. It was never possible to see where every kid was up to in these kinds of ways in traditional learning environments, never possible to give them such detailed feedback. But this in itself can actually be something which is sort of incentives towards reaching mastery. If I bail out when theta equals 69, I consciously bailed out. I didn't get given that by somebody else. I gave myself that particular theta outcome. And if you want to read more about these ideas, here's a reference, this article that Mary and I wrote called Big Data Comes to School.